Good evening, and thank you for joining the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce for our elections forum for all councillor and mayoral candidates. My name is Catherine Hott, and I'm the president of the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting grounds, gathering place, and traveling route to the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all the many First Nations Métis and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. The Chamber is committed to working with our members while helping to support, connect, and promote local businesses and entrepreneurs. First, before we get started, I wanted to thank the City of Beaumont for sponsoring this evening. It is my pleasure to introduce Ken Colby, our moderator for tonight's forum. Ken is the president and CEO of the Alberta Chambers of Commerce. Ken is a well-known face in Beaumont. He spent 2 decades on the Municipal Council for the City of Beaumont and was mayor for 12 of those years. Ken continues to live in Beaumont with his wife, children, and grandchildren. Thank you, Ken, for graciously giving your time to moderate this evening's event. I will now pass the floor over to Ken to detail the events of the evening. Over to you, Ken.
Well, thanks, Catherine. And I may have been a familiar face before COVID, but I don't think very many of you seen me with my COVID beard. I was really only planning to wear this for 3 months. However, COVID had a different idea for me. So, and by the way, I'm only 45 years old, and this is what COVID has done to me. So we have a very, very full agenda this evening with 15 councillor candidates and 5 mayoral candidates participating in this evening's forum. The order in which each candidate is asked to speak will be randomly selected throughout the course of the evening. We will begin with our 15 councillor candidates. I will introduce each candidate, at which time they will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and their platform. And by random draw, the first potential councillor to speak is Gary Saran. Go ahead, Gary.
Good evening, everyone. Bonjour. It is an honor and privilege to be with you this evening. I would like to start by thanking the existing council member for their contribution to our city in the past 4 years. My name is Gary Strang, and I'm a community member just like you. Like you, I want a voice at the table that listens to residents and act for residents. I am a successful entrepreneur and experienced accounting professional and public practice. In fact, I will get my CPA designation soon. That exam was something. With this lens, my motivation is very clear to grow Beaumont together and make Beaumont a community for everyone. A community for our senior, our families, our youth, our vulnerable, and our local businesses. Although we are still in the midst of turbulent times, our future will be bright. I will use my accounting experience to ensure that our hard-earned dollars are spent in alignment with our community's value. I will promote increased accountability and communication between council and all stakeholders, including our local residents. Our city has seen rapid growth in the past few years, and I will work with the council to deliver sustainable growth to move our community forward. This may means increasing green spaces, building more parks, or investing in an outdoor recreational facility. To meet the growth of the future, we need to increase our commercial tax base. I will don my financial lens and be laser focused on attracting new businesses. I will pledge to deliver services for all such improving our local health facilities, transit system, or bringing more social services to support a healthy, vibrant, and caring community. With that, I ask you to vote for Gary on October 18th. Vote for fiscal responsibility, vote for services for all, vote for the future, vote for the strong voice. At the end of the day, it is what we all want, a vibrant community for everyone. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gary, and you were right on time. You had about 4 seconds left, so you set the
Thank you.
bar high for the rest of the candidates this evening. Next up is Ashley Miller. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking your evening to invest your time in tonight's forum, as I hope to invest in you for the next 4 years. I am a dedicated wife, mother, and active member of the community. Through volunteering in youth sports, I grew female participation in the sport of baseball by 80% this year and have served as a coach, manager, and board member for over 5 years with several organizations in our city. Professionally, I am employed in the field of procurement with 13 years of experience in cost savings initiatives and negotiations. With my professional skills and proven dedication to commitment, I can bring valuable improvements to the city I was raised in. If elected, I commit to engaging the community in additional discussion and welcome feedback before important decisions within council are made. A more proactive approach rather than reactive, meaning no more surprises. Secondly, I will advocate for our families to feel safer with improvements such as completed paths and path lighting, enhanced speed measures, lit crosswalks, and more boots patrolling on the ground. The safety of our citizens ties into the maintenance of our facilities, which I see as lacking and needing improvement. Lastly, I will utilize my experience in cost savings and negotiations to ensure we are spending tax dollars efficiently, as well as fostering relationships to attract economic development in our city. On October 18th, please vote Ashley Miller to be a newer voice of representation for the amazing residents in Beaumont. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And next up is Jason Hart. Go ahead, Jason.
Good evening, Beaumont. I would first like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for the chance to bring my platform to you, the residents. I would like to thank previous councils and all the hardworking volunteers that have made life better in Beaumont. My name is Jason Hart, and I love living here. We have a vibrant community full of hope and compassion. We look after our neighbors, and I am proud to call this home. I started out on this journey with a set of ideas and ideals. Along the way, I have developed more of an understanding as to what the residents want and value. Vote Jason Hart. I am dedicated and available to listen and take your concerns to council. My main reason for running is the inherent disconnect between council and the residents. Beaumont has invested in Innovation Park. I hope council has a plan. It worries me to have a $10 million investment when all that has been promised is $1 million from a future mystery tenant. The city has decided to become developers. This means we must wait for provincial grants for the development of said land. I do not believe this is fiscally responsible, and there are too many variables out of our direct control. If elected, I will be a voice of reason and restraint when budgets are debated and voted on. Roads and infrastructure are a large portion of our yearly budget. Sections of the Ring Road and 510 are falling apart and are going to need repair. Council voted to keep vehicles off 43rd Ave by the high school, moving traffic onto 44th Ave. This causes parking and speeding issues for the residents. This is another example of council not thinking of the impact their decisions will have on others. My ideas for future projects are an RV dumping station and eco center at the public works facilities. We should be consulting our fire department to gain a better understanding of their training, equipment, and building needs. We can plan and execute in a timely manner. Thank you for your time. Vote Jason Hart on
Thanks, Jason. Just under the line. And just a reminder to the folks who were not part of the briefing earlier with the candidates is we have a timer that automatically mutes the candidates in order to keep things moving along. We have a timer that in fact mutes the candidate once they get over 2 minutes. Next up is Karanesh Soroya. Please go ahead.
Good evening and bonsoir, Beaumont. It's great to talk to you all. You know, Beaumont's an amazing community. I moved here with my wife 5 years ago, and I gotta say, it's been an amazing journey here. On the first day, we actually had our neighbors, Ron and Kathleen, from across the street knock on our door and gave us freshly made jam. And that's when I knew that Beaumont was home, because it's a community, and community is what makes Beaumont special. Now, I've worked in the public sector for about 9 years now, and I've helped Canadians from coast to coast. I have my own house building business with my parents, a family home building business. We've actually built here in close to Royal Oaks here, as well as here in Beaumont. And we've actually operated a daycare for over 30 years. I've been part of that for most of my adult life. So I've had quite a bit of experience. On top of that, my education is in business. I have a diploma from NAIT, so I'm just a local boy, as well as from Athabasca University in management. I've volunteered. Many have probably heard of me. I've helped with the Karma Pantry, but I can't take full credit for it. because the Karma Pact is exactly what Beaumont is. It's about community. So, and I'd like to end with just saying that anyone who knows me knows that I'm passionate about giving back to the community. Whether elected or not, my dedication is giving back to Beaumont, this town. This city, apologies. We all love, after all, that's what makes it an amazing place to live. It's all of you. So on October 18th, please vote for me.
Great. Thanks, Karnesh. The next speaker is Stephen Van Newkirk. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce for hosting the event tonight and our moderator, Ken Cobley, for spending some time with us. There's an overused quote out there that states the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. This quote was used a lot during our first election cycle that I was part of. The reflection here surrounded the fact that Beaumont's residents had voted in new councillors and a new mayor, looking for new ideas and new energy. Well, I'm here to tell you that I continually brought those ideas and the energy to move them forward. Engaged, prepared, effective. These three words are a source of both drive and reflection for me. My name is Stephen Van Newkirk, and I'm seeking re-election to Beaumont City Council. Our family has lived here for 10 years, and my wife grew up here. My background following university includes 8 years of business ownership and many years managing staff during my 19-year career in environmental and business management consulting. As I look back on my first term on Beaumont City Council, I see planning and budgeting, I see engaging, I see communicating. These are all integral parts of the role of a councillor. I love the role of a councillor. I am always engaged. Whether it was master planning documents, bylaws, or the plans for our new facilities, I was prepared for every conversation. When it came to getting things done, I was effective in communicating and driving toward the goal. I will listen to our business leaders. I will engage with everyone at our local events. I will help create connections between our many groups in Beaumont. Those strong local connections will be our differentiator. By celebrating our diverse knowledge base, a strong commitment to arts and sport, and delivering as community volunteers, together, we will all thrive in Beaumont. Find out more at www.stephenforbeaumont.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Next up, Kathy Barnhart. Go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you very much, Ken, and good evening, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Kathy Barnhart, and I'm pleased and honored to be here on the traditional territory of Treaty 6 and the homeland of the Métis. I come from far away, from an island in New York, which is the homeland of the Lenape, to here in Alberta, where I have lived for 31 years. Thank you, Beaumont Chamber of Commerce, for planning and hosting this event, which is so important for our city, our voters, and our candidates. I'm going to jump right into explaining my platform and my policies and my priorities, because I know that you can access my website if you want to read more about my background and my experience. My slogan is "Steady as we grow." It speaks to both my attributes and my priorities. I'm balanced and I'm moderate in my approach to issues, and I am a responsible and hardworking person. I will prioritize economic and community development. I see economic growth as essential to the development of a complete community, a diverse community where the needs of residents of all ages and circumstances can be met so that we can live, work, and play peacefully together. The past 18 months have taught us many things. One of the most important lessons learned has been about our interdependence. We need more quality, safe, and affordable services. We need more businesses, schools, regional transportation, mental and physical health services to enhance and maintain our quality of life. And excellence in governance is paramount. Council must use its authority for the good of the entire community by making appropriate and timely budget decisions, approving reasonable and enforceable legislation, and providing transparency through open communication. I'm going to leave it there for now, and I look forward to the rest of the evening and your thoughtful questions. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kathy. Catherine McCook, you're next.
Thank you, Ken. Bonjour, Beaumont. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, and I want to say good luck to all the candidates, and thank you to Beaumont Chamber for organizing and hosting. I believe Beaumont is at a defining moment. Our quaint little community has grown from a town into a city, and now our fair city is one of the fastest growing and safest communities. The question is, though, how do we continue to grow safely as a city and ensure our residents have access to all the services and amenities that they need? I believe Beaumont needs to be looking forward towards the future, and you need a council who is committed and prepared to do so. One who will focus on economic development and diversification, inclusiveness, green projects, and the most pressing needs of our community, while also maintaining that small town look and feel that brought many of us here. I'll bring a diverse set of skills and experience that will help us accomplish just that. As council, we need to focus on collaboration. I'm only one vote, so it is important to be able to collaborate and work with fellow councillors and various groups. I believe there's tremendous stress on the residential tax base, therefore I'll concentrate on strong economic development initiatives, and I want to ensure that council is making decisions through a lens of inclusion. My professional experience will be beneficial to evaluating proposed projects and fully understanding how council decisions will benefit and impact our city. I wish to continue to connect with many of you to gather information, evaluate, and execute on our goals. Having grown up in Beaumont and with deep family ties in its history, I'm committed and I want to ensure it continues to be a healthy and vibrant community that people love to call home. As a loving wife and mom to two beautiful young children, I am personally invested in building a thriving and inclusive Beaumont for both my family and all of yours. I will lead with integrity, empathy, and bring strength to council. I hope I can count on your vote. Thank you et merci.
Thank you, Catherine. Next up is Sam Munkoff-Swain. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, good evening, Beaumont. My name is Sam Munkoff-Swain, and I'm excited to be running for re-election on October 18th. I've enjoyed every minute of my 4 years representing you, and I hope to earn your trust and support for another 4. When I ran last election, I promised to bring a new level of communication to council. I believe I delivered on this. I worked hard to use social media and in-person engagement events to inform residents of key issues coming up and create a space for residents to provide their feedback prior to decisions being made. And I want to thank residents for their time and energy connecting with me who truly made better decisions. I also want to talk to you a bit about effectiveness, commitment, and accountability. Being elected is one thing, being effective is another. I put in several hours a week reading every brief and agenda package, seeking input from residents on issues, running ideas by council and administration, and researching other municipalities to see how we can improve our city. I take my responsibility very seriously, and I'll bring the same level of commitment next term. I kept my promise to be accountable to you for every decision I made. I hosted roundtables, Facebook Live sessions, and put up videos explaining why I voted the way I did and why I thought it was in the best interests of Beaumont. You may not have liked every decision I made, but I answered every message and phone call explaining my reasons, and I promised to keep that same level of accountability. I was proud of how much our council achieved during this term by increasing core services like snow clearing and building several recreational facilities. However, I believe we've only just caught up. We must continue to invest in our community or we're going to fall behind again. Most importantly, in order to afford these investments without putting the tax burden on residents, we must increase our commercial tax base. That's the whole ballgame, folks. Council spent 4 years creating a strong foundation for economic development to drive new business here, and I'm committed to ensure that we capitalize on this. I want to wish all candidates the best of luck over the next 12 days and tonight as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Next up is Yash Sharma. Go ahead, Yash.
Hello, folks. This is Yash Sharma. I have master's in chemistry and diploma in marketing management. I also published newspaper for the last 10 years, trilingual newspaper. I'm insurance advisor as well. So that connect me to community where from I come, and I want to diversify the city because what I find city needs lots of investments. A 160-acre innovation park is coming. And with my experience as a business recruitment team of town of Sylvan Lake, I bring wealth of experience. For that matter, I will bring lots of investment to come up with commercial tax base and to generate employment as well. I'm already on the Beaumont Community Events Committee, and my efforts have been appreciated. What I find after working with our people for the last 4 years, we need a walk-in clinic, and I also support for high school, another high school in city. And I also see that a lot of money is going towards service charges, which is a hidden tax. I will work on that and I will see how we can address that. But in totality, I will see that city should grow, and people have been talking to me that it is more of a pizza or liquor store city. So do consider me, And do see my platform. I will closely work for you. On 18th of October, vote for Yash Sharma. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yash. Next up, Perry Hendricks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow candidates, ladies and gentlemen. I respectfully acknowledge that we are situated on Territory 6, traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people. Since my election during the by-election of October 1991, I found council to be both challenging and a worthwhile experience. During my term on council, Beaumont has seen the inception of numerous initiatives, including the annexation of land from Leduc County. The annexation agreement has provided Beaumont with the security of its growth, its transportation corridors, and its property values. Along with the annexation agreement comes the intermunicipal development plan that protects the city of Beaumont's interests outside of the annexed areas. Presently, the annexation agreement is simply the foundation of a very large planning process, which is now taking place. It is my hope that you will allow me to continue my work on this very important initiative on your behalf. The main engine of this community is volunteers, and the city enjoys an incredible amount of volunteer hours, which speaks volumes to the ideal that life is better in Beaumont. And the volunteers need our help to continue their work for the citizens of our community. Social programs such as our daycare continue to be great assets for our community and need our fiscal support to maintain high standards which they enjoy. The previous councils have been aggressive in sourcing funding for these initiatives, and I'll continue to echo this request. Property taxes are an issue dear to all ratepayers. Tax increases should not be the first resort, but a last resort in managing the fiscal responsibilities of the community. I feel that tax increases should only be implemented when all other reasonable options have been exhausted. With your support, I'll continue to champion the cause of fiscal responsibility and accountability. And with your support on October 18th, I'll continue my ongoing commitment to provide continuous improvement in all aspects of our diverse community to maintain the ideal that life is better in Beaumont. Thank you.
Thanks, Perry. Up next, Renee Tessier.
Thank you, Ken. Hi, Beaumont. I'm Renee Tessier. I grew up in Beaumont since I was 4 years old. My great-grandparents actually came into Beaumont in 1910 and ran the only gas station in town. I'm now married and my wife and kids are here in town and we're raising our family here. I've seen the city grow drastically over the years, from when I was 4 years old to going to the bakery across from the fire hall to what it is today. I want to ensure we keep our small town community feel, as Beaumont is a unique city and we want to maintain that. I've volunteered in Beaumont quite a bit, from coaching hockey to volunteering on the Beaumont Fire Department for 11 years. I have a business management diploma from MacEwan University, and I'm a firefighter with the City of Edmonton for 11 years. I'm an honest, trustworthy person that has a lot of passion and energy, and I want to bring that fresh voice to council. I believe there are small changes that can be made that have big impacts, like getting an RV dump station and lighting our paths in the winter, so we're not walking in the dark with our phones. Above the small changes, we also need to start planning for the long term. What does our city look like in 5 years? Right now, our city is lacking emergency services and certain amenities. A top priority is to ensure we live in a safe community. We only have one ambulance housed at the Beaumont Fire Station, which is used by the City of Edmonton regularly. These are things we need to start planning for to keep up with our expanding population. We need to ensure our investments are done for the long term, not sufficient for the now. I believe we can do a better job when building anchor pieces for our community. On October 18th, vote Renee Tessier. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Next up, Martin Stout. Martin?
Thanks, Ken. Thanks to the Chamber. And good evening, Beaumont. Bonsoir. My name is Martin Stout. I'm British by birth and Canadian by choice. And I've lived in Beaumont for nearly 30 years now. It's been my pleasure and privilege to serve as your councillor for the last 4 of those years. I ran for council in 2017 because after living here and raising my family here, it was time for me to give back to this community by serving the public good. Now I'm asking you to re-elect me because although we have achieved a lot, there is still much more to do. With your support, I believe that we can and will make life in Beaumont even better. If re-elected to council, I pledge not to take any votes without first listening to as many different opinions as I possibly can. Second, evaluating any conflicting opinions against all available data and expertise. and only then deciding in the interest of what's best for the whole community. So here's what I think we still need to do. We need to bring a 10 gigabyte Ethernet connection to all homes and businesses in Beaumont at no extra cost to taxpayers. We need to create the new technology and business innovation park that's already been discussed and attract many millions of dollars in high-tech investment to Beaumont. We need to integrate our bus transit service with the new Edmonton Transit Service Commission to provide 7-day service to Edmonton and to the international airport. And we'll also need to develop an on-demand bus service within Beaumont. We need to plan and build a theatre for the performing arts in Beaumont, preferably before 2025. We need to expand the Bibliothèque de Beaumont Library to properly cater for the needs of our rapidly growing city of 21,000 plus. We need to expand the police service to provide 24/7 coverage. I'm going to run out of time now. We need to reduce waste going to the landfill through improved organic waste separation and create a Beaumont ecosystem.
Thanks, Martin. Sorry, you hit your 2-minute limit. And for those people that are joining late, we do have that timer on automatic mute to the candidate if they hit their 2 minutes. Next up, Nam Kular. Nam, go ahead, please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Nam Kular. I've been happily married for 13 years. We have 2 young boys. We've been living in Beaumont for almost 7 years now. I had been professionally employed for 10 years as a project controller with a large multinational industrial company working in Alberta's energy sector and worked on various projects throughout North America. After moving to various cities, including Omaha, Nebraska, we decided to live in Beaumont, raise our family, and start a real estate business. I work and build in Beaumont. The tradespeople and the builders I work with reside in Beaumont. Beaumont is home. I graduated in 2001, gained early experience by running a boutique grocery shop in Southeast Edmonton. Went back to school, got my business management diploma in 2006, and I played soccer for Nate Ooks. Besides playing competitive soccer, I've been coaching for 10 years in various organizations and clubs, including Beaumont Soccer Association. So I think our city's at a pivotal point in experience, growth, challenges, and opportunities. More than ever, we need leadership in council to honor our past, thrive in the present, and set the stage for a brighter future. I love businesses, exploring opportunities, and working with people to help fulfill their dreams. This purpose is what drives me every day, at home, in the community, and in my real estate business. Today, I'm confident I can use my experience and passion to contribute to Beaumont's success. I believe it is vitally important to have diversity of experience and values on city council to reflect the richness of our community as it grows. As an informed representative, I will advocate and work for all citizens of Beaumont to strengthen our social and business infrastructure. I'm optimistic that we have the potential to progress from better to best in everything we do. I believe my citizens will vote me in so I can channel my energy and deliver results that matter for everyone in this beautiful city. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nam. Next up, Philip Penrod. Go ahead, Philip.
Thank you, Ken. Bingo. We've heard it all. We've heard all the buzzwords. We've heard candidates rehearse their bios and their platforms. All those are available on our websites, by the way. So allow me not to regurgitate those things for you. I want to say hello and thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to Ken Cobley, our wonderful moderator, and to the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce for organizing tonight's forum. And to all the candidates for public office, thank you. Let's remember that whoever you vote for in the days to come, we are all here for the good of our city, to protect and preserve and to continue to develop the feeling, the spirit that brought us to Beaumont and keeps us here. My name is Philip Penrod, and I am asking for your vote to sit as one of your team of 6 councillors in the days to come. I've worked in my platform to give you broad themes that give you a sense of my values, out of which I make decisions. That's important because COVID-19, if nothing else, has taught us that we can't sit here today and anticipate everything that will come in the next 4 years. And so you need to know, as the electors, you need to know the values that your councillors will be making their decisions from. And so in Votre vote, notre avenir, I talk about us being in this together. My commitment to you is that October 18th won't be the last time that you hear from me, knocking on your door or answering your emails. In Notre Domaine commence aujourd'hui, I talk about 6th-generation thinking, honoring what our parents have taught us and our grandparents have passed on to us, but working hard to preserve something that's worth passing on to not just our children, but to our great-grandchildren. Thank you for being here tonight, and I look forward to beginning to answer your questions. That's ultimately what the job of the counselor is.
Thanks, Philip. Next up, David Hamilton. Go ahead, David.
Good evening, everyone. I don't have quite as much to say, so we might have an extra few seconds, but I moved to Beaumont in 2017 and I joined the council at my kids' school. So when we talk about running for council and we talk about the things we want to do, I'd like to think about why I'm doing it. So after sitting on the kids' council for a bit, I noticed that there's a lot that seems to happen in Beaumont where you just don't see a lot of participation. And so the big reason why I'm running for council is I simply don't see the town really getting involved with the community. And when I say that, I mean the council. The big one for me is I'd like to see clear communication coming out of council. And I would like to see a clearer answer to what the path forward is. I see a lot of things about digital investment and in technology park, and maybe I'm too old-fashioned or conservative, but I'd like to see a lot more clarity on where we're going and how we're going to get there. In terms of things I would like to see with Beaumont, I think Beaumont should be looking, more towards the future in terms of developing for high school. I'd like to see some sort of discussion about where can we go with recycling programs and landfills. And the last one I kind of want to talk about is this. I was thinking about it a lot today. There's a term that we talk about where I work, which is evidence-based decision-making. I would like to see our town governed maybe a little less by ideals and a little bit more by things that we know that works. Anyway, whether you vote for me or not, everyone please vote on October 18th.
Great, thanks, David. Now, according to my list, that's the full slate of councillors that are running. Did I miss calling anybody's name? Okay, we're going to move on to my favorite part of the evening. And it's my favorite part of the evening because I get to ask the questions and I don't have to answer them. So we have a pile of really good questions in the hopper. We're going to move into the Q&A portion of the evening. We have time for 9 questions to be addressed and 5 candidates to answer each question, which will be randomly drawn. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to answer. So before I ask the question, I will name the 5 people that are going to be answering it. So we need you to be on your toes there. Thank you to those who submitted questions early. Due to the overwhelming number of councillors, 15 candidates to get through, we will not be taking questions from the audience. The first question, I'm going to call on Karanesh, Renee, Philip, Catherine, and Yash. The question is, with the ever-increasing amount of traffic, what are the long-term plans on road widening for the outer roads that surround Beaumont? Those being Township 510, Range Road 243, and Range Road 241. So I'm going to go to Karanesh first for the first answer.
Thanks for that great question. Now, the problem that we've seen in Beaumont is we've had extreme population growth, but unfortunately, our infrastructure just isn't keeping up. That's been the number one problem. Many of the councillors in their introductions have mentioned how we need, additional policemen and what have you. But that's the same thing when it comes to our roads. We need to have a proper long-term plan in place. We need to be thinking, 30 years ahead. So we need to put the money in there now. Beaumont is at a very vital cusp as of right now. If we don't put this infrastructure in place now, then unfortunately, we won't ever be able to do that in the future. Thanks.
Thank you. Renee, your chance.
A great question, Ken, from the residents of Beaumont. I believe that's going to be a really important road, Township 510. If you look at the spine road that goes into the city of Edmonton, it's drawn a lot of commercial business on that road, which has driven a lot of traffic through there. And a lot of taxes that have come from the commercial base is what Beaumont really needs to increase our services. I really think we need to look at the top long-term range of where Beaumont's going to be in 10 years. How many people are going to be in our city? We can't just rely on 50th Street to get into the city of Edmonton. That's going to be one of the main thoroughfares that we're going to be wanting to use to get in the city of Edmonton. So we're going to really have to look into the planning and engage the residents and look at what that looks like in 10 years from now. Thank you.
Thanks. Philip?
Thanks for the question. So this actually fits right into the part of my platform called Better Together. The big idea there is that we need to seize the opportunity of the recovery ahead of us from COVID-19, that it affords us to rebuild our relationships locally and regionally. Now, when we're talking infrastructure, especially with respect to roads, we are remembering that the entire region, including Edmonton, St. Albert, Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, Devon, Beaumont, Leduc, Fort Saskatchewan, Sherwood Park, is expected to double. The population will double in the next 40 years. We do need to pay attention, though, that it's not fully within the mandate of Beaumont City Council to address those. So the short answer to the question is we need to focus on partnerships, regional, provincial, and federal.
Thanks, Philip. Catherine?
Thank you for the question. I definitely agree. We have to work collaboratively with our partners and shareholders across the board. We also have a transportation master plan that will help us plan for the future as well. We can't do this on our own. We have to work with the federal, the provincial government, as well as Leduc County and everything to plan for our growth, because they're also growing as well, and they're growing towards us. So we need to make sure that we're collaborating with them and creating a plan that will incorporate that growth for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And Yash, you get the last comment on this question.
Yeah, I understand that there is a lot of issue concerning roads. And what I find is a lot of development is taking place in Beaumont. We have to closely work with developers who are developing 2 subdivisions and 1 innovation park. Once we have plans with developers, we can surely address this issue in consultation with the developers in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question is going to be for Kathy Barnhart, David Hamilton, Stephen Van Newkirk, Sam Munkoff-Swain, and Gary Saran. My question is, will you do anything to increase the width of roads in the new subdivisions to make travel safer? As the houses get smaller and people park on the streets, our roads become narrower and dangerous to drive on, especially if you meet someone pulling a travel trailer coming the opposite direction. Also, the current road widths will make it difficult, if not impossible, for future bus transportation. Will you stand up for the people of Beaumont and force the developers to make all new roads wider? So Kathy, you have the first comment on this one.
Well, thank you very much. My goodness, that's a question that I wish I had 8 years ago, because I think that's something that takes a very long time for us to work for and to put into place. I understand where it's coming from. I do know that people are kind of caught between wanting to have a nice, quiet subdivision, but also one where they can get their cars and their motorhomes and their other vehicles into the area. Again, like many have said, there are transportation master plans in place. There's land use bylaws that look at all of this. And these are long-term plans that have to be looked at and examined and put, again, scrutiny of our citizens. If we haven't got it right, then we need to go back and open it up again and look at that and see if we can do something better. But I think it's a very long-term solution to get to that place. It won't be happening very quickly, but I think it's worth looking at and reviewing.
Thank you. David?
Thank you. Honestly, I feel Kathy has, the right of it. The problem with a lot of this discussion is the question is phrased in a way that makes an assumption, which is council will walk in and make changes, and council works with the town, works with the developers. And I do believe that we should be working on proper planning, proper land use, and proper road construction. But what I would say is that it's a collaborative effort between town, province, road, like land usage and road width. Fighting for just wider roads is, a pretty simplistic answer for a pretty complicated question. I think this is a deeper discussion. So my answer is I would like to plan ahead and work ahead.
Thank you. Stephen?
Yeah, thank you to whoever submitted this question. It's one of the ones that I'm fairly passionate about. I've been the counselor that is measuring the widths of the roads in Beaumont and asking the questions of administration around what do we need to do to be able to change this. And the answer is this, it's the community standards bylaw. I hope that it is an upcoming document for the next council to have a look at. I expressed concerns when there was some zero lot line housing being developed in Northwest Beaumont. And those concerns I expressed were, come to me from an emergency services perspective, with parking on both sides of the roads being tight and emergency services vehicles being large. I was concerned that there would be enough room for those vehicles to travel. So I have the same concerns as the person who brought in the question. When re-elected, the community standards guidelines need to be adjusted and long-term planning will be required. Thank you.
Thanks. Sam?
Yeah, thanks, Ken. And Steve's absolutely right. He was the one who's been championing this for the last 4 years. I'm surprised it wasn't you who submitted the question there, Steve. Good job on that. This is a very narrow topic, but an important one. So I'm going to pull out a little bit. So instead of focusing on road widths and giving the answers that everyone else has around safety, it's really around that communication and understanding how it's going on out there in Beaumont. When we've developed these new communities, as Steve mentioned, those zero lot lines, it's important that we go out and we go and sit down and talk to those residents and see how that is. Go and sit down and work with our emergency services and find out what are the challenges that they're having. But ultimately, it comes down to planning, and that's pulling out. Not one councillor can get up here and promise they're going to narrow road widths. We've got to work with administration and the broader community to figure out how we can make this a safe place for Beaumont.
Thank you. And last person to comment on this question is Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
Thank you for a great question, and totally echo with Sam and Stephen's comment. We need to keep ethnicity of Beaumont by keeping our road wide, and especially is very important for the emergency services access should be there. And I believe basically it's going to be a collaboration effort between council approving new development and developers. So we want to make sure we're going to keep our roads wide enough, and we want to make sure we got access for all the emergency services. I believe, like if we're comparing with the neighboring municipality, like I just get an example from Elstree side, they're so tight, and that's the one thing moved our family here. Like the roads are so wide and they're safe, and there is access for the emergency services. So started from a planning, that is the main thing. I will say that we should have a proper planning ahead where we are developing, and it started with the council and the clear.
Thank you. Okay, next question. I'm going to be asking of Martin Stout, Ashley Miller, Perry Hendricks, Nam Kular, and Jason Hart. And that question is, what volunteer experience do you have within the last 2 to 3 years in Beaumont specifically prior to announcing your candidacy? I'll start off with Martin.
Whoa, I'm difficulty on using it. Thanks for the question. My volunteer experience in Beaumont over the last 2 or 3 years has been significantly curtailed by the COVID pandemic, which has kept me at home a lot. Currently, the most recent involvement has been with the Cycling Without Age program, on which I'm a volunteer. It provides bicycle rides on a tricycle for people who have limited mobility or don't have the ability to ride a bike themselves. So I'm a pilot on that, and currently actually now I'm currently the director of the program, and we're trying to expand it. Difficult to do during the COVID pandemic. I've also served as some of my volunteer work takes me out of Beaumont as well, I'm afraid. And
Thank you. Ashley Miller, go ahead.
Well, I love this question because I am definitely passionate about getting involved in my community. So as I said in the beginning, in my introduction, that I am involved in the baseball world. I have 2 kids, so on top of being a dedicated mother, I am actively volunteering in their sports, sitting on the sidelines in soccer games, cold arenas. And as I said, especially during the pandemic, I saw a real need for kids to really keep engaged. And I found it was very imperative for their mental health. So I started looking into the Jays program and grew the program of female sport from 8 to 70 girls in one season. So that's just a part of what I have done so far in the last few years.
Thank you. Next up, Perry.
Yes, thank you. Beaumont has been a very, very busy place for the Hendricks family in terms of volunteering for all these years. I was very thankful to be nominated at one point for the Philip Caillot Volunteer of the Year Award in 2008. Recently, in the last couple of years, certainly been very busy with the Knights of Columbus on the soapbox derby package, the ditch cleanups, grocery card programs, St. Vital Church, the ongoing maintenance, provided volunteerism for many years, including cutting the hill. For those of you who saw somebody on a 60-inch cutter day and night, did that for many, many years. And that's part of it. I've also been a waiter at the Knights of Columbus Ladies Night Out CWL package. So,
thanks, Perry. Nam?
Great question. This is one of the reasons why I'm running for councillor, because I think we got to give back to the community. Like I said, I've been heavily involved in soccer. As soon as I moved to Beaumont, I started coaching the team here. I did that for a couple years for my son and soccer. But for the last couple years, I've been coaching soccer continuously through the pandemic, on and off, at the Scottish Dome with the Scottish club. And I had plans to come back and start coaching in Beaumont, but Scottish asked me again to stay there and coach. So I'm coaching there right now as we speak. It's all about giving back to the community. Somebody coached me, I got to coach the kids. Whatever you can do, that's where it's at, just giving back to the community. So I'm looking forward to the volunteer work coming up here as your counselor.
Okay, Jason?
Hi. If people know me, they know I've been working 60, 70 hours a week. I have 2 children. My oldest is 3. So most of the time that I had off, I was spending with my family. I have now taken where I've cut back my hours from work. I've started working more of a commercial job so I can spend more time with my family and get involved with the community. I appreciate all volunteers. The city couldn't run without them. So looking forward, I'm definitely, once my kids get to be a sports age, I'm going to be volunteering my time. I think the people that do that, they're amazing, and I got nothing but respect for them. So thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Next round of question, I'm going to be asking Ashley Miller, Sam Munkoff-Swain, Jason Hart, Nam Kular, and Perry Hendricks. Red tape is often used as a buzzword for how regulations hold back economic growth. Can you provide specific bylaw or zoning issues that you would address if elected to reduce costs for businesses and create jobs? Ashley, you're first up.
Okay, thank you for the question, Ken. I think, as we have mentioned previously, just a collaborative effort to engage regionally and locally to bring business to Beaumont is really imperative. And that's something I'd be dedicated and committed to doing to try to mitigate and eliminate the red tape. So I think it's a collaborative effort and something that we can all achieve together. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam?
Yeah, thanks for the question. First off, yes, I hate the buzzword, but it's an important piece that we got to work out. This previous city council, we went through, worked with our administration planning department to really try to improve that permitting process. We put a fast track process in there to speed that up. But one of the things that I'm really focused on going forward is really sitting down, particularly with those new businesses. I was in one the other day, been open for a month, but it took them an extra 3 months to get those permits, and that cost that business 3 months of rent where they couldn't get any revenue. So clearly it's not working. So what I'm going to do when I get on, hopefully with the support of my council, is I want to call a small business summit. I talked about this in the last 4 years and we didn't quite get the traction, but I want to sit down. I want to hear directly from those small businesses who have come here, talk to the developers and really get the feedback directly to council, not through administration, but I want to hear from them directly so that we can make informed decisions to ensure that we attract businesses for the long term here in Beaumont.
Thanks, Sam. Jason?
Hi, yeah, this is an important one. Some of the people I have talked to, they've expressed big concerns on starting businesses here, only because it takes such a long time from the start of the permitting process to where it ends. We need to be able to cut some red tape for them. We need to work with the province for the provincial red tape to be cut to. Some of the permitting isn't the greatest. A lot of the people that talk about it, the inspectors, are taking quite a long time to get there, even after their permits are approved and they're supposed to be there. One lady said she had to pay rent for a year on her business before she was allowed to open, just on permitting alone. We need to look at our land use bylaws to help these people get these businesses so we can lower the taxes for the rest of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Nam?
Yeah, so definitely, first off, experience as a realtor, I've worked with the builders where they cannot get the permits done. I know a handful of builders that have left Beaumont that they will not build in Beaumont. I've been talking to businesses. It took 2.5 years to get an occupancy permit, just not acceptable. So what we need to do is work with the Alberta Building Code and the administration, make sure they understand the code and not put extra stress on these businesses or these builders that are trying to get the permits and the inspections done. We also need to look at the small businesses that are home-based, make sure they're not facing the red tape either. We need to work with the administration so they understand the building code and the permits and the inspectors so we can process this faster and get the businesses off of their feet and earning revenue and paying taxes.
And for the last word on this question, Perry.
Thank you. Yeah, the number one issue is timing. I think the policies are in place. It's execution and timing, and timing is of essence. So for those of us who own our own businesses and understand what that means in terms of permitting and process, we have to tighten up the timing, and council has been working on that. We'll continue to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question I'm going to be asking is for David Hamilton, Philip Penrod, Renee Tessier, Kathy Barnhart, and Martin Snout. Transparency in utility franchise fees and property value assessments could be improved to support business planning and investment in our community. What are your views on providing year-over-year reporting on fees and assessments to ratepayers in our community? I'm going to start off with David, please.
Sorry about that. This is something I keep hearing a lot about, which is the tendency of the Beaumont Council to put franchise fees on things as opposed to taxes. In terms of what we're going to do about it, I don't think a lot of the problem here comes down to the fees themselves. I truly think the problem comes in is when we're talking about fiscal responsibility and we're talking about how we're going to raise money. One of the things that happens is I keep seeing, rather than finding ways to do things in a more economic fashion or remove things, we just look for more money. So the discussion here I'd like to see is how will we be more responsible with the money we have as opposed to raising more.
Thanks, David. Philip?
Thank you, Ken. This question's right up my alley. I think it's an important one. It's certainly one that I'm hearing about on the doors. My 10 commitments in my platform, I hope resonate with you as residents of Beaumont because you've essentially written them. They've been written after countless hours of knocking on your doors and long conversations with you. So in commitment number 4, I talk about investing wisely and exceeding expectations. I don't believe that the core focus of council should be keeping taxes as low as possible. We need to reframe that conversation. Council should be concerned with ensuring the level and quality of services that we receive exceed the resources we invest to secure them. So if we're investing at this level for the community, we ought to be returning services at least at the same level, hopefully exceeding that. I'm committed to transparency. I think this conversation about the utility fees is an important one. I want to come back to it.
Good segue, Philip. Okay, next person is Renee. Renee, go ahead.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, franchise fees has come up a lot at the doors. I believe every municipality does charge them. They are another way to tax the citizens. So I think we got to be a lot more transparent when we're using franchise fees and increasing them or decreasing them, along with residential taxes. Anytime we're going to charge the taxpayers more money, we got to be transparent. We got to really look at the numbers. Where do we sit compared to other municipalities of the same size? And what are they charging? And if we're going to increase or decrease it, we got to talk to the citizens about that and let them know. I don't believe we should be increasing the franchise fees again or residential taxes that much until we start getting more business into Beaumont to offset that residential tax burden that we're all carrying right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy?
Thank you very much, Ken. Well, and this is a topic that I was pretty sure would come up as well, because it's certainly been coming up at the doors and on social media. And I can't say enough about transparency. One of the difficulties we have sometimes is that we try to explain it at a time when people aren't ready to hear it. And I've often found that myself, when people are ready, election time, they're ready. They're ready to listen more. And that's some of the conversations that I'm having at the door, is with people about these kinds of things, to explain why council makes the decisions that it makes and the difficulties we have looking at other sources of revenue. Franchise fees are only one source of revenue. Taxes are another source. We have a heavy reliance on residential taxes, as many of you know. One thing that maybe people don't realize is that the city of Beaumont, when it was a town, did not have a very high rate of franchise fees. We've come to the middle of what's allowed for us at this point, and I see my time is up.
Thank you. Martin?
Thanks, Ken. Sorry, difficulty unmuting there. Yeah, franchise fees. I'm certainly not in favor of increasing franchise fees at all, as Councillor Barnhart just said. I'm sorry, as Kathy Barnhart just referred to. Yeah, we're in the middle of the range. We're about on the average for local municipalities, and any changes that were made, and I'll emphasize again, I'm not in favor of doing them, would have to go through the Alberta Utilities Board, would have to be at a public hearing, would have to be advertised in the local paper, and are of course itemized. The fees are actually charged to the gas and electricity company, who then charges the customer. So every single bill, they have to be itemized, they're listing what you've paid. But yes, I'm in favor of transparency and reporting exactly what we're collecting and what the rate is.
Thank you. Next question I'm going to be asking of Stephen Van Newkirk, Catherine McCook, Yash Sharma, Gary Saran, and Karanesh Soroya. Supporting local businesses by shopping local is an important priority our chamber encourages. How would you work with the business community to support shop local efforts and initiatives? I'm going to start off with Stephen first, please.
Yeah, great connection. So one of my pillars is connection, and I think one of the things that we can do as a community is improve our connections. The connections between the Chamber of Commerce and Council, the connection between local businesses and and the residents that shop there. And how do you do that? Well, you need to get together, you need to talk, you need to work together. Whether you are a local sports group, whether you are a local nonprofit, or whether you are a local business just trying to make their way in the business world in Beaumont, we all have the ability to talk, collaborate, and make solutions together. So I think that we are stronger together, and we need to get after it. So that's what I have for that one. Thank you.
Thanks. Catherine?
Thank you. I really love this question because this is something that I actually already do, whether I'm on council or not. I love supporting our local businesses. I think we have amazing businesses in our commercial side, as well as we have some great home-based businesses, and they all really need our support. We need to get creative as to how we're going to support and promote those businesses. So there's various municipalities who have done things like marketing grants or even a marketing initiative within our own city to promote and really drive that local economy, as well as working with places like Leduc and everything like that to promote Beaumont to the world. Let's promote Beaumont across the place. Places like Chartier have done an amazing job as well. People come from Edmonton to see Chartier and to eat there. So we need to do that for a lot of our other local businesses and local artisans. Let's bring them to Beaumont. Thank you.
Thank you. Yash?
I have already taken this issue and I have visited a number of businesses in Beaumont where I put on Facebook page and social media that we should buy local. We should also educate our people who are residents of Beaumont that they should give back to society, should give back to businesses. So I am already working on it, and I would like that others should also be educated. And I'm a staunch believer that to buy local, a slogan which I am carrying all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary?
Hi there. It starts from me, actually. I should start shopping. I should start getting things done within Beaumont. And I believe we need to support local to make them survive. They also are providing opportunity for the local jobs as well. And there should be a communication between the Chamber of Commerce and also from the city of Beaumont. There should be a, talking to the existing businesses, what their problems are, what they're facing, any difficulties as well. And I believe is make sure we are promoting our local businesses and neighboring municipality as well through social media. Also, there might be signboards and all that from the city of Beaumont need to take an initiative. And as a resident, I think we all need to promote our local businesses. And I know it's very, very important. We should shop locally.
Thanks, Gary. Next up and last up is Karanesh. Go ahead, please.
Thanks very much. This is an awesome question here because this is something we need to look at. It goes into the long-term planning that I was referring to before. We need to bring Beaumont businesses in the 21st century. As Catherine was saying, we need to actually look at things on a global scale. We actually need to look, we have so many great artists in this city. We actually need to, there's great websites like Etsy and, Amazon. We actually have to utilize this as a city to help to bring the costs down. We can do this. The Chamber of Commerce have been looking at this concept already. We need to rebrand the city, use our French heritage, French culture to bring people here. It's not enough for the locals to just shop local. We need to bring people here, and we need to work on lowering the rent for people because it is absolutely ridiculous. I can keep going on about this, but my time is up. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to use this time just to put in a blatant advertisement for Shop Local on chambermarket.ca. The Alberta Chambers of Commerce has come up with a platform. We are now rolling it out to our community chambers, and soon individuals will be able to shop in their local community and at a provincial level through their Chamber of Commerce. Sorry about the blatant ad, but I'm the moderator. I can do that, right? Okay, so next question. I'm going to be asking Sam Munkoff-Swain, David Hamilton, Ashley Miller, Nam Kular, and Renee Tessier. Developing, attracting, and retaining skills to support business growth in our community is an important priority for Chamber members. How would you work with the business community to attract and retain talent in our community? I'm going to start off on that question with Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. First of all, I mentioned economic development. That's the ballgame. We need to make sure we maximize that. We've got an incredible foundation that we have set here in Beaumont. We've got that Southside Business Park. We met with that anchor tenant a few weeks ago as council, and I'm super excited for that. When they come in here, this is a significant investment for Beaumont. And what that's going to do is not just increase our tax base, but it's going to spin off a lot of other businesses in and around here. And that is going to allow people to live in Beaumont and work in Beaumont. That is absolutely key. We want to keep building these recreation and these arts facilities that I support. We've got to figure out a way to pay for it, and that's through economic development. I'm super excited about this opportunity and can't wait for it to come out. I've only got 20 seconds left, so I will say that for those who are watching out there, very hard to listen to these 1-minute answers. I did do a Facebook Live question on my Facebook page there. It's pinned at the top. I answered 10, 15, all of these questions that have come up tonight. So encourage you to go check out that and get out there and vote on the 18th. Thanks very much.
Thank you. David?
For the Chamber of Commerce, in terms of the question of developing, attracting, retaining skills, I think there's a more fundamental question there, which is, how do we make Beaumont a place where people just want to move? Whether it's about talent or just overall quality of life. For me, I moved to Beaumont because it had an excellent school system. So when we talk about things like how are we going to bring people, I would say that investing directly in the community and in the things that people ask for are the ways that I would look to move ahead with bringing more people to Beaumont.
Thank you. Ashley?
Yeah, I like this question, and I don't want to echo exactly what David said, but I do agree along the lines of we need to foster what's happening within our community right now. I hear a lot of people that have come, by knocking on people's doors, that have come to Beaumont only to be maybe disappointed that we're not caught up with our facilities and our maintenance and our certain other aspects of the city itself. So I feel it's important to work within to attract more people to come and to stay. And yeah.
Thank you. Nam? Are we having trouble getting Nam online?
Sorry, couldn't unmute. It was a different view, but here's my short answer, the 40 seconds I've got left. It's got to be the right economic development. You got to work with the developers. You got to know the mixed business use that you can put in there. So the right development gets done, the right businesses are there. So when the development happens, it's just not residential. So make sure the development and planning happens so the businesses are attracted. Once the businesses are attracted, the people will be attracted. They will stay and they will work in Beaumont. It's the right, infrastructure. That's got to make it and do it for Beaumont. So that's the short and sweet answer, but reach out to me and I can explain more with my development connections.
Thank you. Renee?
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, this is such an important topic. I believe this has been talked about year after year in Beaumont, and I really believe we're at a tipping point here for business in Beaumont. We've hit over that 20,000 mark. I think council did a good job on gambling on that innovation part. I think it could bring a lot of business. As we know, we need a lot more emergency services and amenities here, and we cannot expect our residential tax base to keep going up to pay for these things. We want to be able to stay in our city, work, play, and be able to buy things in our own city. So we're giving back to those businesses. I believe if we get a couple more bigger businesses or get the innovation park really rolling, it's going to be a big spinoff for other businesses to see that, hey, Beaumont is starting to grow in the business sector along with the residential. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Next question I'm going to be asking of Yash Sharma, Catherine McCook, Stephen Van Newkirk, Perry Hendricks, and Kathy Barnhart. Range Road 241 from 50th Avenue North along the golf course has no walking path. Do you feel this is a concern that should be addressed in the near future? And if so, what would you do about it? I'll start off with Yash, please.
I absolutely agree that it is a concern, and door knocking has also proven to me. So I will work with developers as well as work with if elected, work with my colleagues as well. And we have to address this. And for that matter, we have to mobilize the resources in consultation with everybody around in council. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine?
Hello, thanks for the question. So we definitely have some great paths in Beaumont already. So I think that is likely something that's gonna come. I also believe that lighting our paths and everything, I think some of the candidates have already spoken to this, is really important. So in future developments, we should look at ensuring that we have lights and stuff on our paths. So short answer, yes, I believe it is important and we should get that built, but I believe it is in the works to get built. Otherwise, please go check out my website and everything. I've definitely enjoyed this evening, and thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Van Newkirk.
Yeah, thank you. Paths are a passion of mine in Beaumont. Anyone who knows me has heard me speaking passionately on council, using my voice to advocate for year-over-year investment in our pathways and trails. This year, we're seeing investment in our trails. You can see it in Four Seasons Park coming to life. Some of the feedback that I've got on the trails is, okay, the path is there now, and we've connected some of those desire lines, and we've renewed some of the trails and made them more safe. But what about the ability to sit? What about garbage cans? And what about wayfinding in Beaumont? Those are all integral pieces of what we need to do with our paths moving forward. Not only do we need to identify the trails to nowhere in Beaumont and connect them, we also have to make sure that we're planning for the right trails in the future. That piece of trail along 241 is a future planning 100% need in Beaumont. We need to get it on the plan, get a timeline, get a budget, and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Perry?
Yeah, so I'll echo what Steve just offered. It's a timing issue, and it's not if it's going to get done, it will get done. And the conversations have taken place regarding portions of that land in that area for that and other things. And we continue to push hard to get those sort of issues done. It's just simply scheduling and timing and where we're at in phasing in terms of developments in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy?
Thank you very much. Sorry, my mute button wasn't working. Yeah, and I would be repeating what Stephen and Perry have said already, that this council has been unanimous in supporting the trails and getting them connected. We have to manage the budget, we have to manage the time. All of those things get in the way of connecting all of the dots and making it actually work. I know the particular trail is close to where I live, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that because that'll take me down to a different part when I go on my walks. And all of the things that we need to go along with that makes it a walkable city, makes it a city where we have accessibility for our children, for our seniors, for everyone. And I don't think there would be anyone on council now, and I don't think in the future, who wouldn't see the reasonableness of continuing our trail system. It's really needed to be connected, and I think it's underway. The plans are there. Just a matter of, as others have said, timing and money.
Thank you. And the next question will be asked of Martin Stout, Philip Penrod, Karanesh Soroya, Jason Hart, and Gary Saran. Access to affordable housing is a major barrier to providing livable communities and attracting and retaining skills that can support business growth. What are your views on ensuring affordable housing is available in our community? I'm going to start off with Martin, please.
Thanks again for the question, Ken. Yeah, I think this is a really important issue. I think we do need to provide a big mix of every type of cost housing and size housing, and affordable housing is a big key, a big component of that. So revised land use bylaw permits some higher density housing options, and which I'm in support of developers building where it's appropriate and fits into the environment, into the neighborhood. And yeah, I'm fully in support of affordable housing. We have just passed a housing strategy as well, to try and bring that on.
Thank you. Philip?
Thanks, Ken. So I said I wanted to finish my thought on franchise fees, and so I'm going to do it because there's a good segue here. Franchise fees are not evil. They actually build equity in our community. They guarantee that people who are not homeowners or property owners actually pay their fair share for the utilities that they use. It's a great tool that we can use, but when we use it, we must use it transparently. So here's the thing on low-income housing and a diverse offering of housing in Beaumont. The truth is, through our various master plans, these plans already exist, and they are in the works through dedicated public servants and administrators, and through hardworking council members. And I will applaud again the work the council has done over the past 4 years, but I think we can do a little bit better. Ultimately, the question for us in this election is not what work will happen, but who do you trust to oversee that work? Ask the people in Beauval and Beaumont.
Thanks, Philip. Karnesh, you're next up.
Thank you very much. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier, long-term planning. Having low-income housing part of your city is very important. I can tell you from working with the Karma Pantry, unfortunately, this pandemic has hit us hard. There are people who can't even afford a good meal. They can't even afford fresh fruit. We need to have affordable housing right away. We need to bring it part of our plan. Philip talked about how it's part of our master plan. This actually should have already been thought of. This should have already been done. There's no excuse. I'm tired of the political circles that's going around here. It's time to get things done. Let's look at the long-term plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason?
Hi, yeah, the big question on the door knocking. One of the things nobody's talked about yet is seniors housing. It has to be affordable as well. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be moving from their houses into looking to a smaller house, smaller condo, smaller townhouse, whatever. And what we have is just not going to be there. So we need to look after our seniors and get some of that built. As far as yeah, so that's what I'm going to say. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Gary?
Hi there. Yes, affordable housing is very, very important. And I've been door knocking. I actually reached 4,000 houses already. And there are a lot of seniors are retiring and they're looking for affordable housing. It's not only for senior. We also have a youth. They want to move out from the families. They need affordable housing as well. I believe we should have a long-term plan, like as a city now, vision as we are a city which will eventually to attract those demographics to stay within our community is very, very important. So yes, so lastly, I would say what makes Beaumont better is it this amazing community. We all help one another because it is truly take a village. Let's make our voice heard together. Thank you for listening me today.
Thanks, Gary. Now, this concludes part one of our forum. And as I said right at the top of the program, I much rather prefer being on this side of the table asking the questions than being on the candidate's side of the table answering the questions in a 1 minute timeline. But overall, I would say thank you to all for respecting the rules. I'd like to thank all the councillors for joining us tonight and certainly for your enthusiastic participation. We're going to take a short reset and allow everyone to stretch their stretch their legs. I know, Chantel. Enunciate. Stretch your legs, grab a cold beverage, hot beverage, I won't judge, and we'll be back here in 5 minutes, which means that we'll reconvene at 7:27. Thanks, everybody, and see you in a bit. I think we're back. Except I'm not there. I am showing up on the screen. Have we got all of the candidates for mayor back on? I see Karina, I see Bill, I see John, I see Chantel, but oh, there I see Rodney. Okay. All right. We're getting ready to start part 2. Similar to our first half, I will call on each mayoral candidate and give them 2 minutes to introduce themselves and their platform. And this is again based on a random draw. And I will first start off with Bill Daniluk. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Ken. Good evening, Beaumont. I've been a councillor for 4 years. I had the opportunity to serve you, and I've absolutely loved the experience. And I'm very happy to be looking as a candidate for mayor going forward. You know, 4 years ago, I made a commitment as a councillor to be accessible with my Coffee the Councillor sessions. And many people came to talk to me about their concerns about Beaumont, and I'll continue that tradition going into the future. I believe in accountability. I plan to do as mayor public town halls every 6 months, where I'll talk about what's council done the previous 6 months, what's coming forward in the next 6 months, and go forward from there and take questions accordingly. I'll have an open door policy. I'll meet anyone, anytime to talk about Beaumont. I'll return your phone calls and I'll answer your emails. I want to hear from you and I'll make myself accessible to you. My biggest asset and benefit to the people of Beaumont is my experience. You know, I ran for council 4 years ago. People asked me to run for mayor, but I thought, no, I want to be a councillor first to get some very good experience about what it takes to be a good councillor. In that 4 years, that was a great decision for me because in that 4 years, I learned how council operates, how administration operates, how to be an effective councillor, and how to get things done. And as a full-time mayor, my very first day in the job, I'll be running out, doing the job right from the get-go, not trying to figure it out. It'll take time to do that. I'll be ready to go on day one. That's good for council and good for Beaumont. Let me talk briefly about 2 things a mayor needs to be accountable for, is that regional partnership. The mayor needs to be the leader in the region, to have collaboration with the regional partners, and make sure we have good relationships. That's the mayor's job. Second job, most importantly, it's economic development. Current council has done a great job moving the needle, but there's much more to do. I believe the mayor has to be a cheerleader for the city, promote Beaumont in the region, and get business to come to Beaumont. We need to talk about Beaumont as being a great place to raise a family, a great place to have a business, and a great place to look after our business community. Beaumont needs strong leadership. I have the council experience, the personality, and the work ethic to lead Beaumont into the future. Thank you. I look forward to your support. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. Next person for 2 minutes is Karina Hubert.
Thank you very much, Chamber of Commerce, for putting this on. As a local accountant, I am very deeply connected to a lot of the community residents and to a lot of the businesses. I have extended ties for businesses across Canada and also developed a program that helps small businesses start up. Now, as I'm connecting to a lot of the residents, I actually have been hearing a lot, and that is what I have been coming in, stepping forward as a mayor. As our citizens have been addressing, which you probably also hear from the running candidates for council, is the reduction in energy bills, the payment programs and living spaces for our seniors, sustainable water, and attracting new businesses into Beaumont. Now, yes, these are many things you have heard, but here are some things you may not have heard, or maybe some of the uncomfortable side of things, is there has been talk of the loss of sense of community and division within our community. And so that is what I'm here to stand tall, to even talk about the uncomfortable things that most people don't want to talk about. I will go and address the things that are needed and work with my teammates on team council to address those that are needed. But when you are voting for me, you'll be voting for the voice to be stand tall, and I'll be voting for putting the unity back in community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Rodney Ersman. Go ahead, Rodney.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Ersman, and I've had the privilege of living in Beaumont here the last 17 years. It has been a very enjoyable experience, and in talking to people here in Beaumont, we all know the reasons why we've come here. I feel that I'm going to be the odd man out, and that's what's brought me here tonight. I plan to stand up for single family homes and the home choices that we have in Beaumont right now. We have a lot of infill coming in and a lot of plans that are just not right for the areas. And I plan to fight for the people that live in Beauval for the infill, the plans. At most, You know, that should have maybe been a senior's home, maybe the double or the 2-story row housing, but what they have planned now and is almost shovel ready, it's inappropriate, I feel. I want to give a shout out for all the people at the hearing last weekend and the presentation. That was very well done. I'm here in Beaumont. I don't plan on going anywhere. A lot of people have these great, big, grandiose ideas, but it seems to me all these, or not all these ideas, but a lot of these ideas are just bringing some of the issues that we left the big city for here. And I plan to just, you know, be the voice of reason, pump the brakes a little bit. Growth is important, but it has to be done right. And with the people of Beaumont voicing their concerns and being heard. Thank you.
Thanks, Rodney. Next up is Chantal Yardley. Go ahead, Chantal. You're on mute.
Bonsoir.
That's supposed. Can I reset our
Bonsoir.
time?
Good evening. Merci to the Chamber and thank you to the Chamber for hosting. My name is Chantal Yardley and I want your help, Beaumont, to become the next mayor. Instead of promising projects, I have a million too. Everything we've heard tonight. I've been working hard over the past few weeks to showcase who I am, how I approach problems, the type of communication I believe in, and the leadership experience I'm going to bring to the table. I haven't done a signage campaign, and instead I chose to focus my executions on ways to enhance our quality of life, to exemplify my leadership style, and support local business. If we've had a chance to connect at one of my park visits or somewhere in town, thank you. And if we haven't, here are a couple things that you maybe don't know about me. I'm the head of the drama department at Beaumont Composite High School. Now, what you don't know maybe is that when I inherited the program, it was running at a deficit. Since I've taken it over, I have been able to make it run at a profit as well as become a self-sufficient organization. In 2020, number two, in 2020, my family embarked on a trip around the world. I began in 2013 deferring my wage, and 7 years later, we went. The COVID derailed the trip, but I learned a lot. I learned about financial goal setting. I learned about navigating through a crisis and the importance of cultural diversity. And in the spring of 2021, my son was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I took a leave to care for him, and thankfully he's made a full recovery. My experience has left me with a spark to give back to the community that has given so much to me. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chantal. Last for this section is John Stewart. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Ken. Oop, had it all queued up. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. We have come a long way since I was elected mayor in 2017. Under my leadership, this council has had many successes, and we did it by looking after the basics, where Beaumont is a great place to live, work, and have a family. We made historic investments in recreational infrastructure. Under my leadership, we also placed an emphasis on economic development. And in order to stabilize our residential tax rates, we must continue to attract businesses to Beaumont. This council worked with our administration to keep our tax increases to the lowest they've been in the last 20 years. They averaged less than 2%, with a 0% increase being delivered in 2021. For the last 2 years, we've been the safest community in Alberta. Under my leadership, our council took steps to be more inclusive in our community. Beaumont values diversity and inclusion, and our unique Francophone heritage is enriched by learning about and celebrating other cultures. But as much as this council has some great successes, the journey's not over. We need to have a hard look at the quality of life items like transit, police, and fire, and continue to make the investments necessary and the improvements to keep in those services to keep our community safe. We need to continue our work to bring things like art spaces and expansions to our library, because those things make our community complete. Some bigger picture items that we need to look at is attracting medical services to our community. Probably a little known fact is just before COVID-19, I had started conversations with Covenant Health to explore how they could expand their offerings within Beaumont. And once COVID stabilizes, I look forward to restarting them. We need to do all of that, as I talked about above, in the context of keeping our tax rates low and affordable for residents. And so therefore, we need to seriously look at other sources of revenue, like what we could get from a municipal corporation. This, coupled with commercial growth, should allow us to freeze or lower our residential taxes. And I'm uniquely positioned to be able to complete this work. I've worked hard over the last 4 years to create the relationships with private industry, as well as the leaders of our neighboring municipalities and provincial and federal governments to be able to work this forward. So therefore, I ask for you to allow me to continue that work and vote for me, John Stewart, on October 8th.
Thank you. All right, thanks to all the candidates for mayor for sharing your platforms. We're ready to dive into a series of questions for all of our candidates. We have scheduled for 9 questions with all 5 candidates having the opportunity for a 1-minute response to each question. We do have a series of questions that have been pre-submitted, but if there are questions that come into the chat, we will do our best to ask them. Question number 1. What are some concrete plans to bring business into Beaumont? The lease for commercial space is astronomical and infeasible when compared to Edmonton. Why would businesses choose to come here when their profit margins are cut slim due to the exceptionally high lease prices? And I'm going to start off with Chantal first.
Thank you. This speaks to my leadership style really well because I help create a vision, and I can help create a vision for what Beaumont wants to be and needs to be to attract not just business, but also people coming to Beaumont as a destination location. We need to create the vision that sells Beaumont to businesses as well as people in outlying areas. Beaumont has a history of casting a wide net for economic growth. I want to narrow that vision. I want to find what really fits into what Beaumont is, what Beaumont residents want and need, and that goes for large commercial growth as well as small local businesses in developing, also in offering, pizza joints. It's true, we do like them.
Next up, Karina.
Push the right button. All right, so attract businesses into Beaumont. Well, this is kind of interesting. Why don't we start focusing on residents, helping them start businesses in Beaumont? Because there are some of the families who currently don't even have any occupation or jobs. So maybe it's actually a point of programs that we can introduce them to help them start their own businesses and have them start businesses in Beaumont. So that would be my angle on getting businesses started up in Beaumont.
Thank you. Rodney?
I guess my concern is with this question, to solve it, I'd have to ask the question first, why are lease rates so high in Beaumont? And I'm not privy to a lot of the happenings in council for the last couple of years. I've been on a crash course the last couple of weeks, so I cannot answer that honestly and say I have a concrete plan. The answer to that is no, I do not. The first thing we have to solve is why we have the lease issues, and that's the question I would be asking of our council moving forward, and getting that addressed first before we can, start bringing the wanted businesses in here. Thank you.
Okay, John.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate this question. A couple things. One is council does not have a whole lot of levers to be able to pull on when we're talking about lease spaces. Yeah. Lease spaces are set by the building owners that own the buildings. All right, we can bring regulatory arrangements in terms of building codes and permits and taxes and things like that, and those are the levers that we can pull. But the reality is we can't really do too much with lease rates. Some concrete plans that we've already got in motion actually to attract businesses to Beaumont is we brought the first Western Canadian 10 gig fiber optic network that's going to run a fiber optic line to every home and business in Beaumont. And that is going to attract actual businesses that will bring actual jobs and not just retail. And I hate this 1 minute. This is a 2-minute answer. But the reality is if you want to look at what happens, look at Stratford in Ontario. They're on the same path that we are now.
Thank you. Bill?
Thanks, Ken. I agree with the previous comments that council cannot control the lease rates charged by the landowners or the building owners. It's their response. That's their choice. They can remain empty at the cost they want or be full at a lower cost. That's their choice. The big part about the role of the mayor, I think, was going to be economic development, is going to be out there and promoting business to come to Beaumont by being outside our borders. Think outside the box. Get aggressive, get out there with economic development director and visit businesses who are not yet in Beaumont. Talk about 10G, talk about Innovation Park, talk about the advantages that Beaumont has for cost of living, great schools, as David mentioned earlier, great place to raise a family, great place to raise kids, great school system. That's going to attract businesses here if they have the 10 gig network, which we're working on, and also have the innovation park to put high-tech businesses. If we do things correctly and from a marketing perspective, my role as mayor is to go out there and promote Beaumont and get businesses to come to Beaumont. And that'll help our bottom line with our business tax ratio. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Bill. Another submitted question. Our chamber network has been regularly monitoring and measuring barriers to business in our community and communities across the province. Do you see opportunity to work together with business to establish a framework of measurement to improve services and make our community more attractive to investment? I'm going to start off again with Chantal.
Thank you very much. We heard the buzzword earlier about red tape, and I think this is where the problems are really happening. There is sort of possible arbitrary decisions being made, challenges being made to developers, and just basically anybody trying to get things done in Beaumont. And I think that speaks to people who would be part of the chamber. I think we need to work better to help people get things done quicker, more efficiently, and without all the red tape. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
I appreciate the answer to that question. And Chantel hit the nail right on the head there. It's a process question, and we have to be able to sit down with our business owners and prospective business owners that are coming into Beaumont, find out what they need, what the barriers are. And I've talked to probably a half a dozen developers in the last 2 months alone that have some significant issues and concerns with our processes. And so I know we do have some work to do there. Councillor Munkoff-Swain in the last section hit it on the head. It's unfortunate we didn't get to have the small business summit, because I think that would be a great tool to sit down and start talking to our businesses and seeing what it's going to take to make their lives easy as we try to streamline the processes in Beaumont. Thank you.
Thank you. Karina?
All right, so
that was us, Karina. Please unmute and start over.
there we go. This is a great question. This has been, as the rest of them on this board had already said, there's a lot of red tape. But I have talked to a couple of the running candidates for the councillors, Nam and Gary, and they actually have some great backgrounds with solutions about how to deal with this, because they do have a construction background. And by working with the right elected council members and their brilliance and skills they bring to the table, this is something that can be addressed and fixed, actually. So I'll leave that at that.
Thank you. Rodney? We need you to unmute, Rodney.
Like me to speak there. Wow, if I wasn't nervous then, now I am after making that mistake. Sorry.
Just relax.
I'm just taking a breath here. It's all good, thanks. You know, I haven't ran into any of the red tape. I ran my business for a while out of my house here in Beaumont. I didn't have a problem. Whatever the problems are, they need to be addressed. And I've been going home to home. I haven't had a chance to talk with a lot of the business owners on Main Street and in and around here. So I don't understand what the red tape is. What is it? And let's eliminate it. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bill?
Thanks, Ken. Great question. I love this question. I have an action plan for it exactly. Part of my platform is I plan to visit every storefront business at least once a year and talk to them face to face, their challenges, how to help them do business better in Beaumont, and so on. This idea of red tape, I'm going to do it in reverse order. I'm going to visit the most recent business storefront that I can, work my way backwards and say, how was your permitting process? How was your onboarding with the city process? How did it go? I want some concrete examples to go back and say, listen, I met with 5, 6, or 8 or 10 of those recent businesses, and here's a common theme. Many people say it's hard to do business in Beaumont. I understand that, but we need some concrete examples. And as mayor, I'll get those from the business people to say, exactly what was your experience? Give me the details so I can go back and say, here's a common theme. Permits take too long, or electrical permits take too long, inspections take too long. How can we help business do better in Beaumont? We need to know what the root cause is. We need to change the culture and the perception that Beaumont is open for business, easy to do business with. That takes some work, but I'll get it done.
Thanks. Next question. If elected, how would you propose our community be made aware of the efforts by local leaders to improve business services on an ongoing basis? I'm going to start off with Bill first on this one.
Thanks, Ken. It's quite a vague question, to be honest. I'm not sure exactly what kind of service they're expecting to do. So bottom line is, as I mentioned a moment ago in my previous answer, talking to businesses who are new to Beaumont and working backwards is a good way to do it. There's a business that's been around for a long time. Manis, for example, Fountain Tire, a number of businesses have been around for a very long time, have a very good history in Beaumont, can tell us what they've seen change over the years and what they need for business services. So again, I respect the question, but it's a tad vague. So I'm trying to answer as best I possibly can. But I do think talking to businesses as the mayor and having the face-to-face contact will tell me what businesses are facing, what they need for services. Best I can do on that answer. Thank you, Ken.
Okay, John.
Thank you, Ken. And Bill had it right. And prior to COVID, I did spend a large amount of my time visiting Beaumont businesses up and down 50th Street and in the home-based businesses that were using the Colbeck Center and talking to them. But I think the better thing to do is a partnership with the chamber, because the chamber is plugged into our business community in Beaumont, and they're designed to advocate on their behalf. So if we could tap into their communications resources, couple it with the city's communication resources, and then get out the programs that we're doing. Like I recently got a motion passed in council to get a online marketing grant for our businesses, where they get 12 hours of online marketing, how to set up yourself online. Because as the COVID has shown us, if you don't have an online presence, you're going to struggle, and it's going to be hard because you get locked down. You need that. So partnership with the chamber and communications. Sorry, ran out of.
Thank you. Karina?
Actually, I'm going to double up on John. That was a good response, John. Okay, he's absolutely right. As working with the business community, they come in and they really don't have a good navigation about what was offered in our community. So the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce has quite a bit, and the Beaumont Business Center has quite a bit of good information. Perhaps one of the angles we should take is perhaps there should be like a welcoming booklet or something to show them the resources that are available here in Beaumont, and that will help strengthen their knowledge and what is available to them as business owners.
Thank you. Rodney?
I guess this goes back to just, people in the community. Doesn't matter if they're residents or business owners here. It's about building a relationship and making sure we have clear lines of communication with them. We're talking about these points are coming up that there are problems with the red tape and trying to get stuff done. And unless we're communicating with them and have an open door relationship with these people that are bringing businesses here, we're not going to hear what they're saying and understand what their problems are. So that's where I would stand on it. It's just building relationships with the business. Thank you.
Thank you. Chantel?
Thank you for the question. One of my platforms is definitely support local business, and I do support local business. In fact, this shirt I'm wearing is probably 7 years old from Virtue Boutique. I also know that we have a low promoter score on our municipal benchmark survey, and that means the businesses that are here are not happy. And when they are promoting that they aren't happy in our community, what is going to make other businesses come here? So yes, we do have to talk to the chamber. What is going to help make these businesses happy? Also, talking to the actual businesses and not asking more of them to come to additional meetings, not to be additional volunteers on committees, just authentically talking to them and being there and finding out what they need and supporting them through our administration and staff.
Thank you. Next question. If you don't measure it, you have no idea how effective it's being managed. If elected, would you commit to championing key performance indicators, KPIs, for the city budget? And I'm going to start off with Karina.
As a local accountant and in what I do with my practice, it is always very important to measure what you're going to be doing and seeing what the cost benefit is. If it's a program or something we're doing and it brings back or exceeds what it is, that is very important to our community. So I think most of the programs, or there's a couple of them I will definitely keep into place, need to be measured, and anything that's put into place, we need to remeasure and see if it's still giving us back the best bang for our buck. So yes, I will be committing to that for our budget.
Thank you. Rodney?
Absolutely, I'll be committing to that. As a house builder, framer by trade, and dealing with critical timelines, hours, yes, I would totally champion measuring and remeasuring and making sure we're getting back our investment. Thank you.
Bill?
Thanks, Ken. Great question. And I wholeheartedly support the idea of the KPIs. Our job at council is the 30,000 foot level to set the policy, set the tone, set the expectation for the budget and how it goes forward. And we do get updates from time to time, but I think we don't sometimes get enough information to exactly see how each department met certain expectations of standards for budgetary expenditure or capital reserve expenditure and so on. So I think it's very important to look at a KPI model. I have had some exposure to firms that do the KPI modeling. We may need to bring a potential review in to see how KPIs could be implemented into our budget process and ongoing budget reporting to council. And hence through my town halls every 6 months, telling our citizens exactly how we are doing with the KPIs. Are we on target? Are we meeting expectations? Are we having a surplus somewhere we can take advantage for a rec center or for an art center and so on? So I think KPIs are a good idea, and I'm looking forward to making that work in the future.
Thank you. John?
Thank you very much, Ken. Do appreciate it. Yeah, the short answer to this question is yes. I firmly believe you have to benchmark, and you have to be able to track and monitor where your budget's going. As Bill mentioned, council's role is at the 30,000 foot level. So we got to be able to find that balance between looking at a receipt for a pencil and looking at the overall line items in the budget. So we haven't necessarily had the greatest experience with that over the last time, but we just recently hired a new CFO who is now giving us quarterly updates, and we're finding the data that's coming into them. So we're doing some work on that, and we're getting the benchmarks better, and we should be able to track and see how our budgets are doing going forward. Appreciate that.
Chantel?
Thank you. Yes, I do believe in goals. I believe in measuring those goals, and I also believe in accountability and consequences potentially for not reaching those goals or things like that. What I do also want to mention, though, is that I do get frustrated with the amount of reviews, measures, surveys that are being done that are maybe out costing some of the costs that we are also trying to figure out what we're saving. There's a lot of, bringing in people to find things out. And again, I have to focus on a connection to the community. If you do have an authentic connection to the community as the leader of the town, you should also have some inherent knowledge and feeling about what the community, is it working or isn't it? And you should be connected. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question. While business owners continue to pay an increasing percentage of property taxes, they have no say in how the city is managed. How would you address this inequity? And just supplemental information on that. If somebody owns a business, they don't live in the city, they can't vote in the city. It's by residency. So I guess the question is asking, I own a business here, I don't live here. How would I get my say in what's happening in the community? And I'm going to start off with Chantel.
That's a really good question. Thank you. I have had this question come up a little bit in my campaigning, and I'm not going to lie, I don't really know the answer to that. I don't know the processes of that, and I feel like it's something a little bit beyond what the mayor has power to do. I think it probably has to do with policy, and it probably has to do with policy that's as big as municipal policy and rules. I do think, though, that there are ways, again, to connect with these people in authentic ways where they can be heard. And I think that's a gap and a note I will take to move forward on and see how we can work better with our not so local business owners. Thank you.
Okay, John?
Thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate this conversation. Because this is definitely a gap in the current policy and procedures within the city of Beaumont. And so I hate to say it, but probably the answer is another committee. And I hate to say that because you can't do command by committee. It bogs you down. Or maybe some other mechanism by which to engage these business owners. Because not only do the business owners that live outside of town, but we have a huge breadth of business owners in Beaumont that have a lot of experience that can come to the table and advise council and advise our administration on what's going on out in the private sector and how we can improve our processes and move on. So it's definitely a gap. That's just one idea. I'm open to others, and we can move forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Karina?
All right, so I'm quite connected with the business owners here. And do they really? I think they do. Business owners have quite a say in what's being done. Example, when I have to reflect back about how employment is doing in Beaumont, I always go back to business owners and say, hey, how's things coming along? Or if a new road is going to be back out or going to be developed, well, what do you think this road's going to do and how is it going to affect it? Or even sometimes when you got to talk to another business owner and say, well, we're thinking about bringing this in. How is this going to affect your business? So yeah, they do pay property taxes, but when we approach them as council members, even as mayors, they actually do get quite a bit of an input on about how the growth of Beaumont's going to look and how that's going to affect the community, because they actually have hands-on with the employment within Beaumont. So I think they do quite a bit of helping us do our job as well.
Thank you. Rodney?
I think business owners, when they invest here in town, you know, how do they have a say? Do they want another vote on election night? Or as was mentioned, another council? I think they know the risks when they take it here. As Karina just stated, there's a lot of involvement with the business and you know, trying to build the business and a relationship with the town with them. It seems to me there's some infrastructure already set up for that, and I don't think it would be necessary to set up any more. And yeah, I guess if they're coming here and they want to start their business, they're not doing it on a whim. They know that they don't have as much say pertaining to like not having a vote, but I think they do have a good voice on council, and if they're being heard, it'll get looked after. Thank you.
Bill?
Thank you, Ken. My plan to visit every storefront business in Beaumont speaks this issue very well, because when I meet with the owner, if they're not an owner here in Beaumont, I will seek them out, invite them to Beaumont, come for coffee. Let's have the same conversation I'll have with the owner if they're actually in the city. So I believe my plan to be in the storefront, the chamber does a good job, as someone else mentioned, but I think the mayor needs to get right from the horse's mouth, as the saying goes, and ask the business owner, tell me what's really going on. Tell me what I really need to know to help you and the business community in Beaumont thrive and survive and have more jobs here. So if the owner's absentee, not part of Beaumont, I'll invite them to come for coffee. I'm gonna go meet them for coffee. Depends where they are, of course. But that will give them the opportunity to have a say. And I don't, it's not a process thing in my mind, it's a communication issue. And I'll solve that issue by being proactive, business community, and seeking out the owners, have a frank and formal conversation. Thank you.
Okay, next question. If elected, how will you engage businesses to ensure that future policy decisions by the City of Beaumont do not add to their expense line? In other words, decrease businesses' profit. To support prosperity for members of our community who in turn provide employment to members of our community. I'm going to start off with John first.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. And once again, it comes back to it's another question of consultation, and which is why we have a great economic development team in Beaumont who is actually regularly in touch with our businesses. And so what we need to do is put some processes in place to partner with our chamber as well, and for our economic development team to, I hate to say it, to run the surveys, talk to the businesses, because as much as the mayor can go out and visit every business owner, if you're out doing that, you're not going to have enough time to go out and meet with the development community and take care of your responsibilities in the region. So it's going to be a team sport, and the consultation is going to have to happen between the chamber, the economic development team, and the mayor. Thank you.
Bill?
Thank you, Ken. I disagree, John. I'll have time to do all that I promised to do, and I expect to visit businesses and do my job in the area. Now, having said that, Councilor Swain did talk about the small business forum. This may be a way to do that. Our council didn't quite get it done last year. It fell off our radar. It's a good vehicle to get businesses in front of us to talk about what they need. I do believe, I don't even have another committee. I agree with Chantel said, well, maybe enough committees. I get that point sometimes, believe me. I serve on 6 right now, plus a councilor, a lot of committees. But I think having a small business forum will give them an open forum to talk about business, but having the one-to-one contact is also important. And getting the chamber involved is always a good idea because they do have the pulse as well. So between those three avenues, the small business forum, the chamber, and my own efforts, we should be able to address the business needs of the community and make sure they're thriving and surviving and getting jobs here for their kids, hopefully, and continue to provide service to our citizens in Beaumont. Thank you.
Thank you. Rodney? You need to unmute.
You had me move my computer at the start of this, and now, listen, I know I sound like a broken record on the last couple of answers here, but you know, we got to remember why Beaumont grew so fast. It wasn't because of the businesses, it was because of the community. And there seems to be a lot of discussions and questions here about how to keep businesses happy, And we need to do that. And the gentlemen already have said it, you know, it's just about maintaining that relationship and listening and then getting it done. So I don't understand where the problems are with the businesses aside from the lease rates that I've heard about. So that's, you know, I don't really have a plan on that issue. It's just.
Okay, thanks. And Rodney, you're not alone. After 19 months in this pandemic, I've had just about every day I have one Zoom meeting that I don't unmute. And I think the most popular saying in 2021 is, Bob, I think you're on mute. Okay, Chantel, your turn at this question.
Thank you. I think this speaks to leadership and my leadership style and not taking no for an answer. I'm not going to do things the same. So I am going to get to the bottom of what's going on and why they aren't happy. I feel the mayor is the representative of the people, period. They represent the people who own the businesses. They represent the people who are the residents. They are the representative of the community at the table. And I hope and will take that responsibility seriously.
Thank you.
I also think the small business forum is a great idea. I don't think that's a bad idea if, again, we're not asking too much more of our small businesses at a time of crisis right now, where they aren't feeling supported necessarily by our city. I think there's a lot of other ways to support them, including having some experts on staff at administration for the COVID pandemic that they can call for expert opinions and official information on the policies being released.
Thank you. Karina?
As elected, hopefully, mayor, my first question would be, if there's a policy being implemented, I'm hoping it's because it had been a group discussion with the local businesses of something that they want. So for me, a policy will never be established for the businesses unless it was something that was a group discussion and a vote for the majority of it. For what is in place right now, I'm hoping to decrease and hopefully get rid of some of that red tape to help with their business growth.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Regional planning brings together multiple communities and areas to find transportation projects that improve our ability to move people and goods around the region and province. How would you propose to work with other communities to prioritize and pursue infrastructure projects that are focused on improving economic outcomes for the entire region? I'm going to start off with Karina on this one, please.
I'm going to say that the council that is in place right now has been doing a great job, and I'm going to continue on with the discussions with Leduc and Edmonton to have the continue of the buses coming through. However, I've been hearing a little bit more about the timing that is in between that. So I'm going to continue on with those plans and see where I can take that and hopefully establish better timelines so that our communities can bring in the work that's required and hopefully get the people out, including students, because that's what I'm hearing, students and nannies need these buses, and do a little bit more advertising to help with these transportation needs.
Okay, thanks. John?
Thank you, Ken. This is actually one of those things that's dear to my heart, because this is where I spent a lot of my time in the last 4 years was doing exactly this. The mechanisms exist for that collaboration to happen already. We are all part of the Edmonton Metropolitan Regional Board. It's made up of the 13 biggest municipalities in our region. And that's where we do. We have committees that sit and talk about the transportation needs and the infrastructure projects that are being done in all of our communities. And then we prioritize the list and we advocate to the provincial government. Transit was an idea that got spun out of that. That's where the Edmonton Transit Services Commission came out of. And that's why we're looking at regional transit and all those plans are doing. We're also looking at waste and wastewater and a whole bunch of other things that I could go on for about 5 minutes, but I'm down to my last 10 seconds, so I'm going to leave it alone. The summary is those mechanisms exist to collaborate with our regional neighbors. We have Edmonton Global, we have the MRB, we have the Edmonton Metropolitan Transit Association, and that's where the mayor spends a lot of their time.
Chantel?
Thank you. Yes, I have heard about the regional transit plan, so I'm not really going to speak to that because I understand it's already underway. Something that's been coming up while I'm talking to residents is definitely students and parents whose students are staying back at home but going to university. We also have seniors that need to get around town, and we have people with special needs that also would like a little bit more freedom and not have to call a ride to go to the grocery store. We have a wonderful ring road and ability to create some sort of small transportation system for our local people. Again, yes, I want to be at the tables. I can't wait to talk to regional authorities and be a positive representation of Beaumont to the whole. I have a knowledge of our past. I live here right now in the present, and I have a vision for the future, but we also have to focus on our local residents while also looking at regional partners.
Thank you. Rodney?
I almost made it that time. I almost made it that time. You know, trying to get into Edmonton on transit has gotten better. And I like the plan that's moving forward. The timing issue on it is something that needs to be addressed, even at peak hours. But I think the real question was there, if I understand it correctly, is what we're going to do to increase the road system to help the businesses, if I didn't write it down quite right, and to encourage more business. I like the idea on a ring road. I don't want to see more businesses or the widening of 50th Street. I have some concerns about the parking there and people trying to get across the crosswalk. There's a lack of line of sight with the moving traffic. I'd like to see outside of Beaumont.
Okay. Thanks, Rodney. Bill?
Thanks, Ken. Another great question. I'm a big proponent of transit on demand, which would be coming. The current council is working on that. The next council hope will continue the program and allow our seniors and single moms who have transportation issues and other people, disabled people who want to get around Beaumont. Transit on demand will do that for them. It's a great program coming. It's cost effective compared to a regular transit system in Beaumont. That's coming down the pipe. But council has done a very good job the last 4 years. All of us collectively in our own way have reached out to other municipalities to build relationships and cooperate regionally with our partners. Transit Commission is the best example that's going to affect Beaumont in the most positive way in the next couple of years. I was a committee member behind Councillor Muckoff-Swain, who's a lead council member on that committee. It's a fantastic opportunity for Beaumont in the future to build our transportation system and service our citizens to get them to and from Edmonton and the airport and the region in a cost-effective manner and a quick manner too. So it's a very exciting initiative the region put together. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so you had to know that this question was coming. I've got about 5 texts, and I'm going to be paraphrasing and trying to combine all 5 texts from individuals. Right after the last election, the council and mayor voted themselves substantial increases. The questioners want to know whether, in your opinion, it was something that was appropriate or something that was inappropriate. And I guess if you answer appropriate, then maybe get into why you thought it was appropriate. If you answer inappropriate, maybe comment on why you thought it was inappropriate. And I'm going to start off with, honestly, the next question order I had was, John, you're up.
Thank you very much. I'm perfectly happy to go first in this question. Couple things. One, under the Municipal Government Act, whether you think it's appropriate or inappropriate or not, there is no other mechanism for members of council to adjust their wages. You can have committees, you can have compensation reviews, but in the end, it comes down to a motion that gets voted on by council. It's the only mechanism that's available to council. So no matter what mechanisms, procedures, and policies you put in place, it's going to come down to a vote of council. Second of all, that Beaumont was really underpaid 20 years when we first got elected. The compensation study that would happen before had actually suggested moving us to the rates that we actually went to, but previous council didn't come the whole way. The compensation review we had just in February this year, the mayor's salary is very competitive for a full-time mayor, and the councillor salaries are slightly under. So I wouldn't advocate for any more raises, but the council salaries in Beaumont are where they need to be, and they're where they need to be set. So
thank you.
that's my
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got your 1 minute. Next up, Karina.
Do I advocate for having the increase in the wages? I guess it boils down to how much time is somebody putting into that position. I know a lot of the time people don't realize that there's a lot of things we're doing behind the scenes that you don't actually get to see. And I'm going to advocate, well, how about you just take a look, first of all, about what they're doing for time. If they're not putting in the hours, then of course I wouldn't expect that pay to be that high. But honestly, like I'm sure John could advocate for this too, is he's probably put in a lot of time for the position that he's put in. Perhaps that's something that needs to be looked at, is what's the time being put in and does it agree to that? So that would be my answer.
Thank you. Rodney? You're on mute again. Sorry.
I think you jumped me there, though.
Yeah, can you, guys in the back there, can you reset his time to a minute, please? And you got your minute back, Rodney.
Right on. No, I was not happy to see that the council voted themselves a raise. I've been, we say that money or a nice figure brings in the right people. But if the right people are only coming in because of money, you're bringing in talent, maybe not necessarily the right people that are connecting with the citizens of Beaumont. I don't think the raise was appropriate. If you don't think it's enough to be paid that, what was originally there, I don't know the study that said it wasn't, but I was against it. Thank you.
Thanks. Chantal?
Thank you for the question. I do think that the mayor position is and should be a full-time position in Beaumont. What I disagree with is, yes, making it and giving it during and not putting it on your platform first. I think that is how you communicate with your constituents, is you put it on your platform and you say, this is what I am going to do when I am mayor. I also think it's slightly inappropriate to not even serve an entire term and give yourself the raise prior. I think it would have held a lot more weight if you would have worked hard for less and done a great job at that versus trying to fit into a wage that we don't know if anyone did their job appropriately at this point for that wage.
Bill?
Thanks, Ken. An issue that has been brought up at the doors. I've talked to a few people about it, and I campaigned 4 years ago when we first joined council that I thought the mayor should be a full-time position at the beginning of the next term. John wanted to go full-time during the term, and I supported that decision. And I supported his candidacy as full-time mayor because he was the serving mayor at the time. I believe you need to pay a proper amount of wage to get the proper job done to attract strong candidates. I don't believe anyone in city council, previously or this council, is in it for the money. Not at all. I know them all. I've worked with them. They're all people with passion in the right places. It's not for the money for anybody, council or mayor. But I do believe the mayor is a full-time position and has to be compensated in a reasonable manner, and we are comparable to other municipalities in the area. So as John mentioned, the MGA requires council to give themselves a raise. Optically, it's not great, but that's how it works. That's how the system works. We do have a process involved for review every 3 years, and that process will be followed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And another question from the text line. If you had to choose one issue, and you probably have to choose one issue because I'm asking you to choose one issue. If you had to choose one issue that was important in Beaumont currently, What would you say it is, and what will you do about it? I'm going to start off with Karina, please.
The current issue I have is more on a subtle point of unity within Beaumont. As you see, we're going through quite the interesting times right now, and it is quite hurtful to see my neighbors pitting against each other because of some topic difference of issues. So I think it is, if with my council members, I think we need to start putting in place as a way that we can strengthen the community, because with unity, we can rise up and move forward. But if we're not united, we all fall. And then it's just mentally, we are just not all going to be able to move forward in Beaumont. And it's just not going to have that great vibe anymore.
Okay, Chantal.
This is a really hard question. There is a lot of things that are issues. I am going to try to jam pack this into one. I kind of think it has to do with supports for our youth, children, seniors, and that includes safety, it includes programming, and all of those things help bring together our community and form the type of community we want to have, where we're saying hello in the street, where we're going and using our local businesses, where our children are safe on the streets and are finding things to do. And I think those are the things I would like to invest more in. Our seniors, giving them even just more ways to get around and allowing them to get out more. We create relationships by giving people opportunities to form them. And through our programming, that helps create safety because we actually care about each other.
Thank you. Rodney?
Okay. I guess my main issue is, like I stated at the start of my introduction, is, my main issue is the change that I see Beaumont going through. I plan to stay here, after I retire. I like it here. And, we're here for the community, the sense of community. And I really plan to fight some of this infill that's going on. And that's my main issue right now. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I just have to get back into, I think we're done for questions. We're at our limit right now. So
hang on, Ken. Ken, sorry, I missed the chance to reply.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bill.
Me too. I never got a chance to answer either.
Yeah. So I'll let John go first if you
See,
prefer.
I really
I'll yield to
lost
the
my
mayor.
place.
Sorry, Ken.
Bill, go ahead.
Thanks, Ken. I'm going to cheat a little bit and make two issues, 30 seconds each, best I can. I believe we have a serious situation where we need to have more ambulance service in Beaumont in terms of bigger picture for healthcare for our citizens, including our seniors, our youth, everybody, and have some kind of a trauma center, medi center in here to look after our people. I had two friends have heart attacks in the last 18 months. Fortunately, the ambulance was in town. They got there quickly, got them stabilized. It was a great ending, but there are situations where that may not happen, and that concerns me greatly. My first job as mayor will be to talk to AHS and get a dialogue going for some kind of a medi center. And second of all, inclusiveness. My open door policy is I want people to have more trust in their civil servants. There's a lot of issues going on. Communication is always a big thing, but the role of the mayor is to be accessible, in my opinion, and let all the people come talk to me about what their concerns are, committed to council, administration, and help restore our citizens' faith in their civic government and in the role of the full-time mayor, which I fully intend to perform.
Thank you. John?
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate the question. Right now, probably the single biggest thing that we need to look at in Beaumont is the taxation pressure on our residences. We're in the middle of COVID right now. It's hard. People have lost their jobs. We've had reduced salaries. We cannot continue to rely on our residential taxpayers to fund all the things that we need. We need to invest in fire. We need to invest in ambulances. We need to invest in police. We need to invest in transit for our seniors. We need to invest in all this programming, and it all costs money. And so that's the biggest issue we need to tackle, is how we're going to pay for it all. And so that's why we need to expand our commercial tax base, which is why we did the 10 gig fiber optic network, which led to the Beaumont Innovation Park, which is going to lead to the investments that we need that will expand that. And we need to look at the Municipal Crown Corporation to be able to bring the revenues in that will allow us to stabilize our residential tax rates and perhaps even lower them while paying for all the stuff in Beaumont that we want or need to have. So that's my goal. That's my vision.
Great. Thanks to the candidates. I didn't miss anybody this time. I'm sorry. My apologies. Bill, I saw your blood pressure go up there when you thought I was going to leave you behind. That was not my intention to raise your blood pressure. Okay, so and again, thank you for indulging me on that. All right, we've come to the point where we're going to get closing remarks from each of our candidates. Each candidate will now have 1 minute for closing remarks. Okay, and in the order randomly that they were drawn, first up for closing remarks is Chantal Yardley.
My name is Chantal Yardley, and I'm not a politician. Whew, does that feel better? That's right, I'm not a politician. I am a Beaumont original. I am a 929er. When you talk about going uptown, I know what you're talking about. I know what it's like to be a young adult here. I know what it's like to look for fun and find it in unsafe places. I know what it's like to graduate here. I know what it's like to leave here and come back here. I know what it's like to start a career here, start a family here. I know what it's like to start a business here, navigate programming, volunteer here, shop here, eat here, get sick here. I know what it's like to heal here. I am Beaumont through and through, and I'm ready to give back to those who have given so much to me. In order to do this, I ask for your vote. I am ready to redefine what it means to be a politician, and I'm ready to be the leader you deserve. Vote for me on the 18th. Chantal.
Thanks, Chantal. Karina, over to you.
Before I go, I just want to say thank you for all who have gotten to know in my community in 11 years that I've been here. I stand here because I've been in many years' shoes. I've been to the point of where, one mother supporting many children, or, there's the needs for jobs. And I think I could fulfill that. I can help with the Beaumont team with all the things that are requested and those voices that are needed. I also want to say that as part of my platform, that I believe in unity in our community. And as a strong leader, I will bring unity to it and be part of us all together. Anyways, thanks very much. Vote for me. See you on the 18th and love you all. Mwah!
Thanks. Bill?
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, candidates. I appreciate your passion. A lot of passion here, and that's a great thing. I have passion, maybe not quite as exuberant as it was moments ago, but I have passion for Beaumont, and I have the experience to do the job as a mayor. Being a leader of a community is a huge responsibility. I will be the face of Beaumont in the business community outside our borders as well, in our region. In fact, I think I need to explain my leadership style is very inclusive. I want to have our councilors shine. I take the flack as the mayor. That's my job. I want my councilors to shine and do their job in the community. I want to be the leader of the people, as the saying goes. In fact, I may even invite one of my competitors, if I'm successful being mayor, to join my mayor's advisory group of citizens to keep me grounded and keep me on track as being a good mayor. So we'll see what happens when on the 18th about that. But I appreciate passion. I'll be a good mayor, and I will make sure that I have open door policy and be heard and be a man of the people. Thank you.
John?
Thank you, Ken. In closing, for a city to be great, it has to be great for everyone. And I want Beaumont to maintain its standing as one of the top destinations in the world for people to call home. We need to focus on what the citizens of Beaumont need today, and we need to plan for our future. Economic development will continue to be a focus for the next 4 years. It's only by attracting jobs to our community that we'll be able to keep our service levels high and our residential taxes low. We've done a great job of catching up to the recreational amenities that our community lacked, but there are areas left to address. And I will continue to support our fire and police services, as they will both need significant investments to be able to keep our community safe as it grows. And I pledge to continue working to remove the red tape. Under my leadership, council made significant strides in removing the barriers to development, but there's still work left undone. And with my experience and background, I am well positioned to bring forward new and bold ideas to advance us forward. We need leaders who are passionate about Beaumont. We need leaders who have the experience and education to do the job well. We need new ideas and perspectives to continue to evolve. And I can be that leader, so if I ask for your support on October the 18th.
Thank you. Rodney, you get the opportunity to be the last speaker this evening. Go ahead.
Thank you. In my time here in Beaumont, you know, the last couple of years has been tough on a lot of us. This opportunity to run for mayor, thank you all the other candidates for speaking tonight and coming out. I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of new people. I've probably met more people in the last 3 weeks than I have in the last 5 years. And I've started building relationships with people, talking to them and listening. That is one thing I would continue even after being voted in as mayor on the 18th. I'm not going to get to every house before that date. But if voted in, I still plan to visit every house and talk to you personally. I will admit I've been a little remiss in not getting down to the business area as much. You could tell in my answers to the questions, but I really love it here, and we need to remember why we came here. Thank you.
Thank you. You know what? As somebody who cares compassionately and passionately about this community, I would like to thank each one of you and each one of the council candidates for stepping up to the plate and putting your face forward in front of the public and putting your plan out there. That is something that is really heartening to me to see continue on, especially in this time of anti-social media. I personally would not, and if once you get to know me better enough, I can tell you the 2x4 story that my wife has in the garage if I ever thought about running for politics ever again. Okay, I would never run in this environment with social media. And you guys are really to be commended for taking it on the chin, because everybody's got a keyboard, everybody has anonymity, and everybody feels they have an opinion. And it almost gets to the point, sorry, my rant is almost over. It almost gets to the point where we can't have a discussion between two sides of an issue without it getting into a fight. That's my rant. And thank you. I'd like to thank the Beaumont and District Chamber of Commerce for arranging this. I'd like to thank the folks over here at Infinite Events. Sheldon, what's the other name of this company? Infinite Events and A Squared. Trust me, at the Alberta Chambers of Commerce, we use these guys on an ongoing basis, especially during the pandemic. They do a fantastic job, as they did with their production tonight. So this officially concludes our municipal forum for the evening. Thank you to everyone in the audience for watching, and good luck to all of our candidates at the upcoming election. Election day is October 18th. You have no excuse not to vote. Get out and exercise your right. Have a great rest of your evening, and good evening.